Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing, Inc.
Haiti's president denies corruption allegations. Our top story in Caribbean Newsline for Thursday, June 13th. From the CMC News Center in Bridgetown, I'm Ricardo Roberts. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. President Jovenel Moïse has categorically denied being involved in corruption as he faces mounting pressure to resign. Addressing the 24th anniversary of the founding of the Haiti National Police on Wednesday, the embattled head of state said he was not guilty of any corrupt deeds as alleged by opposition forces who have announced plans for more street protests to pressure him to step down. Moïse said, quote, "I am going to look you right in the eyes to tell you today, your president, the one you voted, is not involved in corruption. Your president was never in corruption. The justice system needs to do its job and carry out an investigation." End quote. Thousands of protesters have taken to the streets since Sunday demanding his resignation, and earlier this week 21 lawmakers wrote to President of the Chamber of Deputies, Gary Baudieu, urging him to indict Moïse on charges of corruption, funds misappropriation, and repeated violations of the Constitution. Now, that followed a report by the Superior Court of Auditors that accused the government of illicitly spending more than $2 billion of Petro-Carib funds meant for social and development projects in Haiti. But during his address on Wednesday, Moïse said he was not the one to blame. He said those who wrongly managed or used the government's money would have to answer for their wrongdoings in a process that is just, balanced, and without political prosecution or bias. The president also claimed he was being targeted because he had declared corruption to be a problem in Haiti. He said, quote, "When the president says that the biggest problem of the country is corruption, they attack the morality of the president so that he doesn't speak about corruption," end quote. But in an immediate response, a leading opposition figure, Andre Michel, tweeted that Moïse's speech was a provocation, and he insisted that the population needed to continue to mobilize until the president handed in his resignation. Former Jamaica Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller has told members of the opposition People's National Party, which she once led, that she will not take sides as two people go head-to-head to become the party's next leader. Simpson Miller, who stepped down as PNP leader in 2017, made the comment following social media posts that suggested she had thrown her support behind a particular candidate. The upcoming leadership race will be between opposition leader Dr. Peter Phillips and MP for the Central Manchester constituency, Peter Bunting, a former National Security Minister. Bunting last weekend announced his plans to challenge Phillips for the top PNP job, a move that has been condemned by some party members and supporters. But in a tweet, Simpson Miller distanced herself from both camps after images being circulated gave the impression she had taken sides in the upcoming leadership race. More from Janella Pursues of TVJ News.
Recently, a picture and a short video of her embracing PNP presidential hopeful Peter Bunting emerged on social media. The picture shows Mrs. Simpson Miller appearing to give Mr. Bunting advice. The video also shows both Mrs. Simpson Miller and Mr. Bunting walking in an embrace at what appears to be a celebratory event. The tweet did not only ask for the former PNP president's name and image not to be used, but also indicated that she has not and will not take a side. It went on to encourage PNP members to campaign vigorously for their candidate and prepare for a general election right after the matter has been settled. It also asked for the campaign to be kept clean and respectful, while ending with a declaration that Mrs. Simpson Miller's first loyalty and duty will always be to the People's National Party.
Now, meantime, Bunting is expecting the backing of more PNP delegates in coming days as he prepares to officially launch his campaign next month. Now, speaking on TVJ's Smile Jamaica program, he said that since his decision to challenge Phillips, he has been getting strong support.
You kind of feel a groundswell for change, you know, a rising tide in the party and in the country, quite frankly, that demanded a response. And that is the call that I was answering. I'm encouraged and surprised in many cases by some of the persons who are coming forward and saying, you know, good decision, we're with you, we're backing you 100%.
Now, Bunting said he had conducted polls in his decision to throw his hat into the ring, and he acknowledged that based on similar past events, his decision to run could cause a rift within the PNP. But the challenger says he's prepared to deal with that, and so must the party.
And one of the motivations for us choosing our slogan for the campaign, Rise United, has been because we realize this is something that we have to address frontally. It was identified as an issue in 2016. It was an issue, quite frankly, back in 2007 when we lost the election. We've sort of become fractured and divided, too many factions. And that is something that we have to confront day one after the annual conference.
In other news now, Guyana has launched a plan of action to fight human trafficking, and suggesting that some business people and public officials are involved in this illegal activity. Minister of Public Security Kemaraj Ramjatan said the aim of the National Plan of Action for the Prevention and Response to TIP 2019-2020 is to get victims to speak out. Newsroom Guyana's Bibi Katoon reports.
The action plan launched on Wednesday focuses a lot on awareness as a way of empowering persons to speak out.
Can't really coerce somebody who has suffered from smuggling or trafficking, but you can just cajole them and you can persuade them and plead with them to testify and to tell us. And when they do that too, they help our data pool as to who are the culprits.
That was Minister of Public Security Kemaraj Ramjatan, who also delivered remarks at the event. The minister hinted that some of the perpetrators are business persons and public officials.
You would be surprised to know who the persons involved. The main men, as we call them. And it could very well be people working for the public authorities, or it could be some private businessmen living it up. And then ask them where they get the money from and so on. This is where they get it. But it is so secretive, and then they shut up the witnesses. And that is why we have to get victim services to tell them, please speak out.
Asked about what is being done to ensure that men and boys also speak out about TIP, Coordinator Acting of TIP Task Force, Oliver Prophet, said engagements are held with the youths at the juvenile holding centers and others who are vulnerable. Guyana has achieved Tier 1 status in the U.S. State Department's Trafficking in Persons report, given the serious and sustained efforts undertaken in the fight against TIP. However, there were several areas pinpointed for improvements, including the lack of out-of-town protection and shelter to victims, the decrease in prosecutions, and the low successful conviction rate. The task force official says its hindrance to successful prosecutions is the lack of testimonies.
Staying in Guyana, the probe into allegations of bribery and movement of gold by former Member of Parliament Chandras Prasad has hit a stumbling block as investigators say they cannot get him to submit a statement. Now, according to Public Security Minister Kemaraj Ramjatan, progress in the matter has stalled. Prasad left Guyana for Canada the morning after he joined the opposition in the National Assembly in voting against the government in a no-confidence motion which passed. He is a Canadian citizen and his vote is being challenged in the courts on the grounds of his dual citizenship, but police had also launched an investigation into whether he was paid to cast his vote. Now, Ramjatan said the investigation still holds a position of national importance, but acknowledged that sometimes investigations are on pause for years pending new evidence.
Charandas is left, and the investigators were supposed to, I think, ask him some questions. They're not getting him. And that is as far, whatever was the status for the past couple of months, it has just stuck there. For Canada, you have to have evidence of a crime being committed before you can bring back somebody. Evidence, solid evidence of a crime, especially against a citizen of Canada. I don't know if we have managed to accumulate that. It was acting on information and suspicions, whether someone else paid him to do what he did. All of that will be some very technical legal issues.
You're watching Caribbean Newsline. Coming up, a petition delivered to the electoral officials in Cayman to trigger the territory's first people's-initiated referendum. The details of that story and more after the break.
Welcome to this year's 50th Caribbean Broadcast Union Assembly on the island of San Andres. San Andres is a small archipelago located in between Jamaica and Panama in the Western Caribbean Sea. A lush, exotic island rich in culture, history, gastronomy, and breathtaking scenic views. Known for its beaches and 7-colored crystalline waters, the island of San Andres will be proudly hosting this year's event. CBU members will enjoy top-of-the-line accommodations for an unforgettable experience in San Andres, connecting Caribbean nations through this year's 50th edition of the CBU Assembly.
We continue in the Cayman Islands, where a petition calling for a people's referendum on the controversial cruise berthing project was handed over to the elections office on Wednesday. Now, Cruise Sport Referendum CPR Cayman delivered the documents with the hope of triggering Cayman's first people's-initiated vote on government's proposed cruise berthing facility. It is the first time a group of voters has attempted to trigger the clause in the territory's constitution that allows for a people-initiated referendum on issues of national importance. CPR Cayman's Katrina Jones said now that the signatures are with the elections office, those who signed must now get ready for round 2.
Now turn the petition over to the elections office for them to officially verify. The process is expected to take a few months, where they will be going around and personally verifying through door-to-door, phone, email, etc. at supermarkets with each person who has signed the petition. So we encourage everybody who has signed to make themselves available for verification.
Wesley Howell, who accepted the document on behalf of the elections office, said the process to verify the list would begin immediately. He will take a temporary leave of absence from his day job as chief officer in the Ministry of Employment and Border Control to lead the process full-time and will report directly to the governor. However, Howell said around 100 temporary staff will be hired in the coming weeks to begin a door-to-door verification of every signature on the list. The Italian media is reporting that autopsies on the bodies of the 2 Bahamians pulled from a river in the city of Turin determined that the men drowned. Wounds were also found on one of the bodies, but the report said they were not fatal and could have been the result of the body being dragged. and preliminary results from toxicology tests have reportedly shown traces of alcohol in the blood of both Bahamas Foreign Service Officer Al Ray Ramsey, who was on study leave in Vienna, Austria, and psychology PhD student Blair Rashad Randy John. Their bodies were pulled from the Po River within a day of each other last week. The two, who were college friends, had met up in Turin, where John, a student of St. Mary's University in Canada, was to present a paper at the psychology conference. Their families have questioned what led to their demise, and John's mother, Kathleen Ramming, told the media that in the Bahamas that her son was a strong swimmer and she did not believe his death was an accident. Additional reports in the Italian media have indicated that a third friend who lived in Minnesota in the United States was to meet John and Ramsey in Turin and had booked and paid for a room with his credit card, but he never made the trip. The Ministry of Education in the Bahamas says the country is facing an acute shortage of teachers. Education Minister Jeffrey Lloyd told Parliament there is an ongoing challenge to find enough teachers for the 172 secondary schools, particularly in the special needs area. He also wants more teachers to consider specializing in certain subjects.
Right now, we just don't have enough psychologists, speech pathologists, audiologists, and the like. And again, those who are interested, young people who are considering a career, a possible career, monies, the scholarship monies are available for students to pursue these very needed disciplines. Because we have a situation now where, unfortunately, too many of our students are placed on a waiting list, Mr. Speaker, because we simply do not have the specialties in these areas.
Industrial action at the Barbados-based Caribbean Examination Council may be the cause of delay in getting results in Grenada's Caribbean Primary Exit Assessment, or CPE rather. Now, the Ministry of Education has issued a statement informing stakeholders that CXC had advised that due to technical challenges in the processing of data for the CPEA, there would be a delay in release of the 2019 results. Information Minister Winston Garary says the Council has given the assurance that it's making every effort to release the results in the shortest possible time.
As you would know, and it's a norm, it's about 3 weeks since students would have sat the CPEA exams. And around this time, usually you will have the results. And I know parents are very eager to have the results. Students as well, because, you know, there's a lot of bragging rights with this as it relates to schools placing first and the first 10. Unfortunately, though, this time around, we are yet to receive the results from CXC. As you know, these exams are marked by CXC, and they have some technical issues that they are yet to resolve. And that's the last information that was presented to us yesterday. In the last week or so, we were expecting the results and was hoping to have it presented to the nation last Tuesday, but they were yet to remedy the problem.
And ahead in Newsline Sport, West Indies focused on beating England in their clash in the ICC World Cup on Friday. Stay with us. Sport is next.
Please tell us, there's so many different types of law. What made you specialize in getting people who have disabilities their claims approved?
My father owned an insurance brokerage business in Maryland, and after he came back from World War II and started this business, he purchased a disability insurance policy thinking he'd never need to have that policy. Well, unfortunately, he became disabled, and I saw him struggle with that difficult decision to stop working and apply for disability benefits.
Jamaica's favorite Sing-Day coffee has already infiltrated numerous spaces. Her songs are on the playlist of every DJ. Young children and grandparents alike happily hum along to Toast and Ragamuffin. But it's the title track of her EP Rapture, one of her favorites, that has received the true dancehall treatment, a remix by the fourth-gen dancehall star Governor, and a new music video. This, guys, is Rapture.
All right, so now listen. Now you're telling me about this family affair. Your mom might do it one day, but
One
your dad
day.
is doing it also.
Yes,
Wow. So you have a lot to look up to.
I do.
All right. So listen, you seem pretty busy. I just want to know. Can you just paint a picture for me? What does your day look like when you wake up in the morning? You got to brush your teeth. You got to take your bath. What does a typical day look like for TJ Sauce Kid?
Well,
West Indies captain Jason Holder says his side remains focused on beating England in their clash in the ICC World Cup at Southampton on Friday. Now, the Windies are still relishing their last encounter with England in the Caribbean, and while all eyes will be on Barbadian-born English fast bowler Jofra Archer, Holder says his only interest is in seeing the Windies win their match against England.
I don't think this is a forum now to be discussing it. As I said before, I just want to keep it strictly towards the game tomorrow, West Indies versus England. And, I think we just want to cover all three departments in terms of batting, bowling and fielding. I think we've gone really well with the ball so far in taking no ball wickets. I'm bowling two teams out in the games that we've played. I think in terms of our fielding, we could definitely touch up there. But I think generally over the last couple of months, if you look at our fielding overall, we've improved a lot in this World Cup so far. And as a batting unit, we just had a blunder against Australia, so just need to, if we get ourselves back into that situation, just need to take a little bit more responsibility and take the games home. But having said that, I wouldn't sit here now and just discuss anything else as opposed to the game.
Now, the captain says he has seen much improvement in the bowling department's ability to restrict the opposing side's middle order, and he hopes that the side will continue that trend on Friday.
We've been getting wickets. I think previously we haven't been getting wickets in the middle. We've always got wickets with the new ball, but previously we haven't been able to get wickets in the middle overs, and it's been a talking point over the last couple of months in one-day cricket. And in this tournament we've been able to get wickets in the middle overs, which is definitely broken the back of most teams. I think if we continue in that vein, we'll definitely be a force to reckon with. But we just got to take it game by game. This game against England, as I said before, is a very, very important game, and we've just got to dot all of our I's and cross our T's.
Meanwhile, England captain Owen Morgan on Thursday warned his side to be wary of an explosive West Indies as the tournament favourites prepared to take on the World Cup outsiders in a fiery clash at the Rose Bowl. With memories of the thrilling 2-2 draw in the Caribbean still fresh on their minds, Morgan said England were well aware of the Windies' capabilities and would be taking nothing for granted.
Yeah, they're a strong outfit. We expect the exact same tomorrow. They're explosive with the bat and, a different challenge with the ball. A lot of the seamers are quite tall and look to hit the wicket. And obviously the majority of the time they only play one spinner, so that's going to be the challenge here.
Now, earlier this year, England felt the weight of the Windies Pacers when they were bundled out for an embarrassing 113 in the final ODI in St. Lucia as the hosts won the match to square the series. Morgan said they learned several important lessons from that experience.
Our shot selection, it wasn't great at all. Continuing to get out in the same way as opposed to showing better game awareness and trying to manage that, because with the benefit of hindsight, getting some sort of score on the board would have allowed us to stay in the game and possibly win the game, because opportunities to score were a little bit more difficult than we'd come up against in that series. I don't think it's not frustration, because we learned a huge amount about growing our game out in the West Indies. The fact that we're not getting carried away about some of the success that we've had. I think it's important to have days where you are beaten or can't beat a side, because you then look even more into areas of improvement as opposed to beating sides convincingly or even getting over the line, showing good character and playing well. You almost look outwardly and say, right, well, what were we missing today?
First ball of the match between West Indies and England bowls off at 10:30 in England. That's 5:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 4:30 in Jamaica. To football now, several members of the Trinidad and Tobago Football Association are up in arms about their boss, David John Williams, excluding them on a number of matters surrounding the game. TV6's Sergio Dufour tells us more.
The rift in the Trinidad and Tobago Football Association continues to show its face. This time, 3 members of the board have declared that they have been what Super League President Keith Luckloy termed constitutionally sidelined. They claim that they are being left in the dark with regards to issues pertaining to the selection of a coach for the women's football team, the non-participation of the Olympic team in the Olympic qualifiers, as well as the current state of the senior football team, which has not won a game in their last 5 matches.
Since May, the board of the TTFA effectively has been, as I would like to term it, constructively dismissed in favor of the so-called emergency committee that has been appointed by the board itself, by 7 members of the board. They appointed themselves. They have the votes. So they appointed themselves and they're now running the association under the umbrella or the constitutional cover of the emergency committee, and the board has been sidelined, the 5 of us.
TTFA board member Sharon Joseph Warwick, who represents the Women's Football League, spoke out with regards to confusion surrounding the selection of a coach for the women's team. The TTFA stated in a release that no coach was selected, but Warwick felt all parties should be part of the decision-making.
It is our opinion that that any decision regarding the appointment of the staff to the women's team should be discussed with us, TT Wolf. We acknowledge that in the past, TT Wolf was largely only concerned with the running of the local football league. We wish to point out, however, that TT Wolf is responsible for women's football in TNT in general.
And that's the Sports Day with us. We'll be right back.
The 103rd Indianapolis 500. There is no bigger day in motorsports for Honda Racing and everyone at HPD. Winning this race makes the entire year. This year, 18 Honda drivers in the field of 33, gunning for honors in the 500. The biggest day of the year in the world of Honda Racing, the 103rd Indianapolis 500.
Welcome to this year's 50th Caribbean Broadcast Union Assembly on the island of San Andres. San Andres is a small archipelago located in between Jamaica and Panama in the western Caribbean Sea. A lush, exotic island rich in culture, history, gastronomy, and breathtaking scenic views. Known for its beaches and 7-colored crystalline waters, the island of San Andres will be proudly hosting this year's event. CBU members will enjoy top-of-the-line accommodations for an unforgettable experience in San Andres, connecting Caribbean nations through this year's 50th edition of the CBU Assembly.
Again, the major developments of this day: Haiti's President Jovenel Moïse denies being involved in corruption as he faces mounting pressure to resign. And in sport, West Indies focus on beating England in their clash in the ICC World Cup on Friday. That's Caribbean Newsline. For news and sport round the clock, subscribe to CaribVision.com for more of our programming. Log on to CaribVision.tv and check out our YouTube channel. We'll be back here again tomorrow, but from all of us at CMC News, thank you for watching. Have yourselves a good night.